Welcome to the Southern Asia Pacific Division, a division which consists primarily of the Indochina and the Malay archipelago. It's a diverse territory with a population of more than 1 billion people, comprising 8,000 people groups, 5,000 of which have never heard the gospel. SSD has 1.7 million church members who are distributed in 7,653 churches and 3,707 companies in 14 countries. This congregation is nurtured by 3,000 pastors. As frontrunners of this end-time movement, our pastors, teachers, literature evangelists, health workers, and church members work hand in hand to bring the gospel of hope closer to every person in every household like never before. Supporting the gospel ministry are the 19 hospitals committed to spreading the health message in the community where they are established. Assisting the evangelistic endeavors of the church are the 984 schools committed to the holistic approach of restoring young people in the similitude of Jesus Christ. Also, working together are the 5 publishing houses and the 5,750 dedicated literature evangelists who are distributing daily the printed pages into every home. The territory of SSD is largely influenced by Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, and traces of folk religion. Of the 14 countries situated within the culturally diverse territory, the Philippines and Timor-Leste are the only Christian countries with Catholicism as the predominant religion. This huge canvas of humanity provides the most challenging landscape to illustrate the mission work. The work of God is growing exponentially in this part of the world because everyone did his or her part to seek, save, and disciple. SSD has the largest number of Muslims in the world. Islam is the most dominant religion in the territory. Despite the huge challenges to evangelism arising from these areas, the work has progressed in many places. The key to its successful harvest of souls is the collaboration of churches, hospitals, schools, publishing houses, health clubs, and health restaurants that are run by supportive church members. The Adventist Muslim Relations, or AMR, through the Global Mission Center, certified 484 individuals as collaborators to help reach out to the Muslim community. There are 11 new AMR projects implemented in these places, and by God's grace, we are continuously growing. Buddhists are the second largest group in the SSD territory. Buddhism holds a solid group in the countries of Cambodia, Myanmar, Thailand, and Sri Lanka. The implementation of the I Will Go initiative is being supported by churches, companies, 2 hospitals, and 2 media centers that are established in these places. There are about 25 million Chinese people in SSD. They are mostly involved in business and are the prime movers of the economy. SSD created a special ministry that uses a contextualized approach to reach out to the Chinese. This approach involves the production of media resources and training of Adventists on the proper use and implementation of these resources. Chinese Adventists are actively involved in church planting in the territory. The seculars are people living in highly urbanized areas in wealthy Singapore. The I Will Go initiative is accomplished by the active participation of Adventist churches in this country. The church is doing broadcast evangelism through the Hope Channel SAUM, radio ministry, and social media. The church provides care to the elderly with free physiotherapy and physical therapy sessions. The socialists are the people living in the socialist countries of Vietnam and Laos. The Seventh-day Adventist Church is young, growing, and promising in these 2 countries. Despite the suppression of religion, there are many language schools that are independently run by the church members who are supportive of the church. 2 urban centers of influence are located strategically in major cities of these countries. These UCIs are used to promote a healthy lifestyle to the people, teach foreign language integrating faith and learning, teach cooking classes, and serve as medical and dental clinics. In the past 5 years, church members worked together in spreading the gospel message. This resulted in the baptism of 477,803 precious souls. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic brought virtually all face-to-face social contact to a sudden halt. Together with church gatherings gone, one would think that this would have spelled the end of church numerical growth. However, surprisingly, the statistics point to the opposite direction as the new restrictions force the church to adapt and look for new methods and ways of reaching people. One of the viable means for the Adventist Church in the Southern Asia-Pacific Division territory to engage in evangelism was the use of virtual evangelism through modern media, or what is commonly called the social media. Despite the strict implementation of social distancing and quarantines, the unions have experienced healthy growth during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. An example of this is the 3 unions of the Philippines, reaching a total of 88,214 baptisms in 2020, while the pre-pandemic growth was considerably lower, with only 82,309 baptisms in 2019. Allow us to introduce you to our various ministries that exist in our division. The Sulads organization is actively working to evangelize the cultural minorities in the Philippines and has expanded its work to Thailand and some parts of the world. The 1000 Missionary Movement is another ministry that is actively sending out missionaries to seek, save, disciple to far-flung areas of SSD and NSD. Volunteers commit 1 year of their lives to serve as missionaries, but when they go back to their churches, they will always be missionaries. Adventist Possibilities Ministry is a specialized ministry for the deaf and the blind. People who are physically challenged and are differently abled are being taught about the love of God in these centers. The AWR Center for Digital Evangelism is housed in the SSD headquarters in Sri Lanka, Vite. This is the first ever CDE to be established in the world. Volunteers from the Philippines, India, and Nepal, together with 4 staff members, are working together to help people in social media to find us and to find Jesus. The Adventist Laymen Services and Industries, or ASI, the Adventist business community commits to seeking, saving, and discipling people in the marketplace. This organization is involved in raising funds for special projects. Adventist Aviation Indonesia and Philippine Adventist Medical Aviation Services, or PAMAS. Papua in Indonesia and Palawan in the Philippines are 2 places that are currently served by Adventist Aviation Indonesia and Philippine Adventist Medical Aviation Services, respectively. They are committed to serving the isolated places that can never be reached by any other means except through aviation or air support. There are 8 centers of influence in the SSD territory, attracting people in the community with their free services. SSD is in partnership with the General Conference in acquiring properties that will be turned into medical and dental clinics and classrooms where cooking and English language classes will be held. There are 35,015 care groups in SSD. Care groups are responsible for the successful evangelistic campaigns in the territory. Care groups have contributed 397,903 precious souls to the membership of the 3 unions of the Philippines in the last 5 years. These celebrations culminate in the baptism of thousands who want to join the rank of believers. The SSD is a kaleidoscope of colors, showcasing God's grace shining through the myriad of cultures in the territory. There is no one approach fits all to reach out to the different people groups, but there is unity in doing evangelism in SSD. Evangelism may come with a cost, and the risk is high, but the leadership is committed to reaching the unreached, all for His honor and glory. In places where the gospel is most difficult to preach, God is doing the biggest part of the work to win people back to Him. As we wait for the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, we will continue to march on, each one embracing the call, I will go.